Howdy everyone, I wanted to make this slightly shorter video today because the one I planned on making next has ended up taking longer than I anticipated. Instead I wanted to talk about something that I've seen going around for a while. Apparently Eminem is cancelled now, which is weird because I thought that happened when he rhymed orange with banana and rap was considered a solved medium of art. But yeah, apparently someone saw that's one singular, like how many good parents I have or how many good cis straight white men there are, one TikTok about Eminem's song Love the Way You Lie featuring Rihanna.
Sing to me. I can't tell you what it really is. I can only tell you what it feels like. And right now, there's a spear in your windpipe.
Now, Love the Way You Lie is a popular hit from 2010, and is very good according to 11 million people, and not very good according to another dislike people. This TikTok kind of implies that some lyrics in it are problematic, enough to cancel Eminem, specifically these ones. And I'll be real, if that is the genuine take of this person, and they're not pulling a fast one on us all like people do on the internet, I think that's a misguided take. That being said, it is one that can make sense if you go out of your way to take a charitable reading of what the person said, which, if you know me, is my favourite pastime. These lyrics are, objectively, very graphic. It's certainly a song for mature audiences, and there's a lot of nuance within the discussion of whether it's a good idea to let kids hear someone threaten to detain a woman within a burning house with the specific intent to murder her to death. Especially since this is a song I first heard as a kid on the radio. The only word censored in the radio edit is the F-bomb. Now that's as far as charitability goes, you'll be happy to hear. Trying to cancel Eminem for writing provocative lyrics is, how you say, the whole fucking point. He's been in this game since Gen Z was 2 years old. He's a provocateur, you're being provoked, you are taking the bait, hook, line and sinker. But that's just one TikTok from one single person that got deleted anyway. You can bet that the other side of this conversation had a not disproportionate response to this, because this is the internet and people are reasonable on the internet, obviously. Right? Before we get to all that, there's a little bit going on in the timeline between one TikTok account which had like 30 or 40 followers, and Eminem parody songs with 14 million views on YouTube whining about cancel culture. And I won't be showing usernames in this video. Not for the sake of the privacy of people involved, but simply because I don't want to. I don't owe you any information I don't want to give you. But the aforementioned TikTok was posted sometime around January or February of 2021, and another TikTok user stitched that video. In response, he started talking about the other lyrics that are worse than Love the Way You Lie. Superman, Kill You, Kim, all of the songs that were very graphic and violent in the earlier Eminem years, which were vehemently rallied against by the conservative, protect thine children from satanic filth attitudes of the time. They were also the songs that 12-year-old white kids think are hilarious to play at top volume at the back of the bus. From there it went on to small media outlets where it was spun up as a kind of war between Gen Z and Millennials. Apparently it's no longer in to hate on Millennials anymore, now you have to bully their younger cousins simply for having opinions and thinking that maybe things should be a little bit better sometimes. And from there it kind of spiraled, all of it about the whole generational culture war, and it became the most popular cash cow in the world, for a few weeks at least. And everyone you can expect got mad about the kids criticizing a white guy in the rap industry for endorsing violence against women. That's an uncharitable reading, it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but it's technically true, so I stand by it. But then, a few millennials saw this drama being stirred up and being blown out of proportion, and instead of realizing that they're just being marketed a fake culture war, they thought, hey, you know how we can totally, epically own all one of the Gen Z Eminem haters? By doing a rap, and then you got wonderful videos like these. The first one of these raps came out on February 28th. That means it took an absolute maximum of about 1 week to make, since the drama stemmed from the TikTok which came out on the 20th of February. And for all the work which has clearly gone into it, the New York Post wrote an article about it, calling it beautifully set to Forgot About Dre, so do keep that in mind.
Gen Z's trying to cancel Eminem? Honey, that's cute.
First off, I love the little glance down at her notes before she started. Reminds me of when I was in like a school play and everyone was originally gonna go out without their script, but then one kid forgot their lines and hypothetically had a minor anxiety attack the night before. So they were allowed to go out and use their script, to the complaint of everybody else who actually went out of their way to learn their part. She has only person allowed to hold her script on stage energy is what I'm trying to say.
Listen, little kiddies, let me make this quite clear. This man was around even before you were here.
I'm sorry, this woman has no rap abilities. She is, technically speaking, bad at rapping, and not in a fun way either. She simply doesn't have the mouth dexterity to pronounce every syllable, even though she's so desperately trying. She's also just a tiny bit too loud, the sound isn't properly mixed, which is par for a TikTok rap on no budget, but it also doesn't help, and it makes this 36-second video feel like White Entitlement the Musical, and for that again, I am so sorry to be torturing your ears with this.
Time out, cause boy was running laps even before you could walk. Hell, boy was spitting bars even before you could talk. So no, afraid you're null and void, dear. I'm afraid your opinion don't matter here.
I also want to clarify, this woman has notes. She got to write her words down beforehand. Out of all the approximately 1 million words in the English language, these are the words she deemed the absolute best to make her point. There's so much that goes into writing a song like this, a certain absolute minimum amount of energy that needs to go into something. You need to pick an Eminem beat to rap over, you need to actually sit down and write the lyrics, not necessarily in that order, memorize it, and then perform it. Some things are going to take all day, no matter how half you ask them. But it sounds like she's hit that absolute minimum amount of energy, that rock bottom, and just kept on digging down like an absolute mad lad. Also, that is such a horrendous flow. Nothing says I want to pay homage to one of arguably the greatest, most careful and intricate lyricists on planet Earth, like a 1-2-3-2 monosyllabic rhyme scheme, and so many filler words your sentences are overflowing. My name is Eminem, and I'm here to say, rapping like this is like totally even never the way.
So what, you're all mad cause the man was a lyricist while all your rappers are mumbling gibberish? No.
Okay, rhyming lyricist with gibberish is the only vaguely competent element of this, and even that is undermined by her lack of enunciation of the words she says. She says them in subtly but noticeably different ways, like lyricist and gibberish. She doesn't pronounce the second syllable in the word gibberish. But also because she misspelt lyricist on screen, which to me speaks to the absolute and devastating lack of effort put into this video. I'd be a little remiss though if I didn't address some of the points this video made, even if you can't hear them very clearly. I want to reiterate that this is all directed at one as in the number 1 right above 0, one TikTok from someone of an indeterminate age. One person made one TikTok and now it's been stirred up into a generation war, where after years of being blamed for everything, millennials are finally becoming the bullies now that there's a generation below them to harass and berate. And I'm not one to make this a bigger video than it is. It's literally just me reacting to a woman rapping badly about something painfully unimportant. But if you find yourself even a little bit agreeing with the girl in this video, then please just reconsider. Also, there's just hate directed at mumble rap for no reason, because of course there is. This woman, who physically cannot enunciate the words of her rap, cannot stand mumble rap. That's going to become a theme, by the way, keep an eye out for that. Anyway, that's enough about her. She was just the first to put out a video. This next one though is basically the exact same premise, millennial rapping to an Eminem beat to make a point about how Gen Z is bad at appreciating music. The only difference is that this one came out on March 10th, so she had another 10 days to come out and create a response. Which obviously means it's going to be better. And by better I mean exactly the same. So this one is slightly different in that instead of using Forgotten About Dre, Eminem, Marshall Mathers background music copyleft MP3, it uses the real Slim Shady free instrumental download MP3 torrent, which means that I can't monetize this video. Good job there, because that would usually discourage a video like this one, But since I'm just a little guy on YouTube who's not making money, I am immune to these struggles. That being said, like and subscribe please, and also donate to my Patreon and Ko-fi in the description so I can monetize this channel.
Now listen up, Gen Z, cause I've had enough of it. This whole cancel culture. Damn, y'all are so sensitive. You wanna cancel Eminem cause he's too aggressive and mean? Your feelings are hurt, you wish his lyrics were more clean?
What this one does, interestingly, is it keeps some of the same cadence as the real Slim Shady, in the sense that the pauses in sentences are in approximately the right place to sound a little bit similar to the original. The only problem is that A, it's still in that 1 2 3 2 rhyme scheme with very occasional exceptions, and B, it still sounds kind of bad. To be clear, it's a bit better than the other one. She definitely sounds like she has at least some experience with writing lyrics and knowing what she is and isn't physically able to rap, and makes an effort to write around that. But that is the absolute bare minimum for being a rap musician, let alone a competent one.
How dare he openly speak about such violent things like murdering his wife? Now we're all arguing about whether or not to play his music on air.
Not to say that you also fell hook, line, and sinker, but you're complaining about the argument about whether Eminem's lyrics should be aired these days, but isn't that discussion exactly what the supposed cancel culture Gen Z SJWs want? Like the fact that people felt the need to defend their parasocial relationship with an artist they stan, not just by shushing this girl into submission, but also by showing off worse lyrics that Eminem has released. It stoked a whole conversation about Eminem's lyrics, their cultural impact at the time, how they've aged, and whether they serve purpose now in a zeitgeist that has since disappeared, which is a long and nuanced discussion that you should totally start in the comments. Seriously, please don't, otherwise I will milk your spleen.
How about instead you just learn to embrace Eminem's a lyricist, he paved the way for your favorite rappers to say what they can say today. If you can understand him, that is, I don't have a clue.
And there it is, someone who makes the hilarious observation that they cannot understand what mumble rappers are saying. You get it? Because they're mumbling. Isn't it funny? It's almost like you can write music that isn't just about the lyrical content, almost like the mumbling is specifically part of the aesthetic. This argument is like criticizing EDM for its lack of guitars, or this TikTok for not containing Eminem. And it's a weird form of elitism, implying that a certain type of music is bad because of the lyrics not being clearly enunciated, like a proper Englishman. It's also interesting when you look at the racial lines and demographics of the people writing these raps, and compare them with the enjoyers and performers within mumble rap communities, but that's a coincidence, I'm sure. To be clear, I'm not saying or facetiously implying that these people are racist. I'm just saying that their arguments are, and they appeal to people who are, and these people should probably stop making them. Also, because some clever clogs is going to point it out in the comments, like, hey, you say criticizing mumble rappers for not being understood is bad, but you make fun of the other person for not understanding what they're saying. Hypocrite much? No, it's not hypocritical, because while I am criticizing her for being unintelligible, again, the purpose of mumble rap isn't necessarily to be clearly understood, word for word, and appreciated for wordplay's sake. The same, however, is not true for a rap whose sole purpose is defending Eminem with your words, and paying homage to Eminem's lyricism and ability to write. I don't really think there's a lot left to add to this conversation. It's just some millennials love bombing their problematic faves and trying to stoke some non-existent cancel culture war. But a few people in the right-wing political sphere were talking about this because obviously instead of being concerned about the government and their apparently communist laws like the stimulus checks or the Gender Recognition Act, they were worried about Eminem's feelings and protecting their white savior from the cancel culture BLM Antifa woke mob. Because, as we all know, rap isn't music unless it's being written by a white guy, of course. And also, Eminem was already cancelled by the right back in October 2017 when his coffee pot got too hot and he dropped it on Donald Trump's face. Not to mention the entirety of the 2000s when his satanic lyrics were torturing the ears of Christian evangelists. Anyway, that's it for this video. It's time for me to talk to you about this video's sponsor, stickers. Are you a member of the second coolest minority group out there? Rubik's Cubers? Do you see pretty colours and squares on cubes and relate to them for non-specific reasons? If so, then you might want to check out today's sponsor. Therapy is... Wait, no, that's not right. My good friend and longtime Twitter mutual who lives in the basement of my local Arby's, also known as Ambrose, is selling very cool sticker designs on his Redbubble store, which is the first link in the description. I was given these stickers in February to be promoted in my next video, only to not release another video for another 2 months like an absolute loser. And this one's still stuck to the back of my phone, and it looks pretty good, I will say. Apart from this bit, but that's because it's an air bubble that's there because I put it on wrong. This thing is literally lasting longer than the case I put it on. Ambrose has a lot of these designs available as part of his Subtle Pre-Day collection. Still need to figure out what that's about. But they look really nice and cool. So if that's what you're interested in, and you want any of these very cool designs that you see here, visit the link on screen right now, or at the top of the description. Anyway, if you like this video, please leave a like, comment to let me know you like the video, and subscribe for more videos like it. YouTube actually lets me know which videos people subscribe from, so if you enjoyed this video and you're not subscribed, subscribing will let me know to make more videos like this one. Also, my Patreon and Ko-fi are in the description. Feel free to chuck me money in exchange for your name on screen right now, along with these lovely people. Also, follow me on my other socials if you want, all of which are on screen. Anyway, stay tuned for new videos every Friday. And as always, stay safe, stay spicy, and have